I know. Hmm. Interesting. Okay. Okay. All right. Looks like we'll do what? What? Did it suddenly just work? Oh, that's what was going on. Done that before. There we go. Sorry about the delay there, folks. My name's Whitney. I'm with Buckman Best Behaviors, and we are doing our fourth Wednesday Ask Me Anything. If you'd like to say anything or you have any questions, if you'd just like to say hi, put it in the chat and we'll get to you. If you have any questions about animal behavior, or if you have any questions about training animals or anything like that, or if you're having problems with your pet at home, feel free to put them in the chat. I'll discuss those for you. Now, so I am, for those that don't know, I am Whitney Buckman. I'm a pet trainer and behaviorist. Uh, Here in Garden City, Kansas, I travel up to about 150 miles, 200 miles around. And with Buckman Best Behaviors, you can find us at bbbehaviors.com. You can also get a hold of us 620-805-9429. And but tonight also, I'd like to actually point out that last night we joined the Finney County Humane Society. Uh, you can find them at adoptgck.com, but they were throwing a fundraiser, and that fundraiser was Jordan's Way fundraiser. He's traveling around trying to promote all of these, all the shelters around the areas, and um, he is still collecting money. They actually made a record for the organization for Finney County Humane Society with donations. I'm going to put that donation link into the chat. So if you'd like to continue, while they did make a record, they didn't quite make their goal. The goal was $20,000. We broke over $15,000 yesterday, but they still have a few more days that they can try to get the donations to get them over that 20,000 mark. So if you want to follow that link, I just dropped it into the chat. Feel free to do so. Once again, if you have any questions about pets or pet behavior or anything along those lines, go ahead and put those into the chat and I'll be happy to answer those questions. I do this every month until about 9 o'clock at night. And once we get around 9, we'll generally call it for the evening. But if you miss it today, then and you have a question, go ahead. I'll come back. You can either just get a hold of me via my website. You can also call me at this number, 620-805-9429. And you can also email me at whitbuckman@bbbehaviors.com, and that is Buckman with an H. If you have any questions about animal behavior, animal training, anything like that, if you saw a weird thing online, feel free to put that in the chat and I'd be happy to answer that. If you have a behavior at home that you'd like help with or like to discuss, I'd be glad to start talking about that. Just let me know. Just throw it right on into the chat and we can go from there. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put that there. As I said, though, I am also trying to promote tonight. The Finney County Humane Society is still doing a fundraiser, and that fundraiser is Jordan's Way fundraiser, which you can find. I dropped the link in the comments. So if you follow that link and if you need it, just let me know and I can drop it again. You can also reach them at adoptgck.com, and I believe there's some Venmo links there. They broke over $15,000 last night, and I believe it was a record for their fundraising, but it wasn't quite the goal for Jordan's Way. They wanted to get over $20,000 for the fundraiser, but we have a few more days left where we can do that. So if anybody wants to give to that cause, just go right ahead, drop that into the comments there, or go ahead, follow that link that I dropped into the comments. Lately, I've actually been quite busy lately. So some of you have sent me some emails and I am going to be getting back with you very soon regarding those. But business has picked up lately. We are going at full speed. There's lots of animals that have needs lately. We've got some reactivity issues, which is pretty common. We actually have not had a lot of separation anxiety issues coming up right now, which is actually, I'm going to knock on wood on that one. Separation anxiety is one of the toughest things to work through, but it just takes a lot of time and a lot of patience to get through all of that. Now, if anybody has any questions, go ahead, drop those into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. I see we got a couple people coming online now. If you have any questions whatsoever regarding animal behavior, pets, if you have a problem situation at home, just go ahead, put those in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. And I will make sure that I can see all the chats as well. Uh-oh. There we go. There, got all the chats open. So no matter what you're using, if it's YouTube or Facebook, go ahead, drop those comments into the chat, and I will be happy to answer them. I specialize in a lot of just positive reinforcement behavior work. I utilize a process known as operant conditioning. For those that don't know, operant conditioning is a whole way of learning in psychology, and I put a primary focus with the positive reinforcement side of things. If anybody has any questions or would like me to answer any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. I'm on until 9 o'clock every fourth Wednesday of the month. Just let me know what you have. If you just want to say, so if you just drop it in and say hi, go ahead and say that as well. If you have a weird it can be anything really. Nowadays I do specialize more in domestics, but in the past I have worked with wildlife and I've worked with um, exotic animals as well. Uh, and I don't just work with dogs. I also had parrot clients and cat clients as well. So if you have any questions whatsoever, go ahead, put those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer those for you. Let's see here. Seems to be a quiet night this evening. We've had some rainy, drizzly weather. I always find it's funny when we're going into weather like this, because this is the weather that the animals are the most active. I don't know how many times I've seen where animals just keep. Okay, I got a good question coming up. With this weather, this cooler weather, this drizzly, overcast weather, the animals tend to go crazy. And here's a secret from my time in the zoos. Honestly, this weather, when people don't want to go outside and don't go to the zoos, that's where the animals are the most active. Now, whether that's because fewer people are there bugging them, but generally, I think it's just because of the weather. And for the most part, they don't care because people are just there all the time. Um, but they just get active in this weather. So it's been kind of fun during our training sessions, because either the pups have been very energetic, except for one. One was on the opposite side of the spectrum and decided it was a very lazy day, which is where I am on these cloudy days. All right, first question in. I got a question from Erica. And that question is, what is the best way to keep your dog from jumping up on people? Okay. The method I utilize is a process called differential reinforcement. And differential reinforcement is when you take one behavior and then you actually train a new behavior and generally I pick one that's not compatible with that behavior. So, for example, with a dog that's jumping up on people, what I actually work on them with is to teach them to sit. Number one mistake I see people do is they go no, 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 or off, 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 but they don't actually say what off means, and they don't actually say what no means. In behavior work, we have a saying that you can't teach a not behavior. It's like proving a negative. Where do you go? There's no real answer, no direction. So I like to actually guide the animal to the correct behavior and make sure that that new behavior is not compatible with the old one. Now, on top of this, you have to reinforce or reward the good behavior, so that way it replaces the old behavior. Because the reason they jump up in the first place is because they are getting some type of reward. And generally that reward is attention from you, the human. So if they can't get that reward, if they don't get another reward to replace it, they're going to keep doing it. So usually I tell people to not touch them, not just to leave them alone, ignore them, but also ask them to sit. Most people do know the ignore and leave them alone part, but there's another problem with that, which I'll get into here in a second. But you need to teach them to sit. If you just yell no, 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 or off, 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 imagine your boss coming to you and just giving you your work back and saying, this is awful, and then walking away. No guidance, not telling you what you did wrong. Just yelling, no, bad. Okay, but what does that tell you what to do? No. 9 times out of 10, when somebody or anything gets that type of interaction, they're going to do the exact same thing, because that's all they know how to do. So if you teach them to sit and then reward them by loving on them and also giving them treats possibly, when they sit, then you'll start replacing that bad behavior of jumping up on people. Excuse me. Now, the other side of that spectrum is if you just ignored them, if you just walked away, you'll run into what's called an extinction event in behavior. An extinction event, it means they were rewarded at some point in time, and then the reward stopped. And what happens then is called an extinction burst. The extinction burst means the behavior gets way worse before it gets better. This is the tantrum phase of removing a behavior. if basically, I like to call it also the elevator button scenario, because when we at some point in time we got rewarded because the elevator came faster, or just probably was just coincidental. But when you hit it a few more times, logically, we know it doesn't actually work that way. But a lot of people will still bing, 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 because they might have gotten that reinforcement at some point in time. So that's, if you just ignore the pup, they'll can jump up even worse than before. So not only do you have to not reward them for the bad behavior, but you have to give them a new behavior and guide them towards it. So in this case, usually I pick sitting, because sitting and jumping are not compatible. So that's usually what I do. Now, you also have to watch out for what I call the principal effect. The principal effect is the principal at the school knows the names of all the bad kids, because it's easy to see the bad behavior. You got to watch out for that. So if your dog is doing good behavior, which is sitting quietly next to somebody, you need to make sure they get the reward they want. If they want petting and love, which is usually the case, make sure they're petting and love. Somebody pets and loves on them then. Because if they don't get the reward, they're going to go back to the old way of how they get the attention, which is jumping up on somebody, because that's all they want is attention. And just like kids, this doesn't matter if it's good attention or bad attention, if all they want is that attention. So you just got to make sure that you reward that sitting behavior, and try to avoid them, and try avoid eye contact, avoid talking to them until they sit. But you ask them to sit. That's probably about the only interaction you want to do. Usually I do a hand gesture. In fact, I tell my clients to raise their hands up, because when they raise their hands up, then they can't accidentally pet the dog. And if you don't accidentally pet the dog, then they're not going to be reinforced for jumping up on you. So you just hands up, don't touch them, ignore them, but or at the same time, ask them to sit and guide them towards the sit. And once they sit, then they get attention. So that's the basics of how to get a dog from jumping up on people. It's the process called differential reinforcement. So now, I'd also like to point out, as we get new viewers in tonight, we are also promoting the Finney County Humane Society's fundraiser, Jordan's Way fundraiser. It was last night. Some of you might have chimed in. I got a bucket of ice, and we, Buckman Best Behaviors, donated. We also got some of our past clients and friends and families, which is the group I like to call the BBB, or the BB Behaviors Pack, because we're all one big pack together, working together. You can go to adoptgck.com and donate. Also, I dropped the link in the comments, but I'm going to do that again just to make sure that people can find the Jordan's Way donation. So, excuse me. Excellent. Thank you. I hope it goes well. If not, give me a call, and I'd be happy to answer, or come back on in a month when I do this again. Now, here's that donation. If you want to go donate to the Jordan's Way fundraiser for the Finney County Humane Society, that link I just dropped into the chat. Go ahead, follow that link. And they hit 15,000 last night. There's 10,000 showing on the Facebook thing, but there was $5,000 in walk-ins. They just have 5,000 more to reach that 20,000 goal. So if anybody is willing to give just a little bit more, it doesn't matter how much, it all starts adding up to the Finney County Humane Society. They do a great job getting pets in homes, and trying to remain that a no-kill shelter as best as possible. So if anybody has any questions or about animal behavior, about their pets at home, anything along those lines, go ahead, put that into the chat. I'd be happy to answer those for you. Looks like my lighting is a little off tonight. My office is kind of a scrambled mess. One of my desks in here broke, so we had to go desk shopping, but the new desk will be arriving next week. We actually got that from Key Office Supplies on Main Street. So if anybody is looking, I had a great experience today talking with them, getting my office supplies in order. Okay, so if anybody has any questions, though, on animal behavior, go ahead and put those in the chat. Have a question on training your pet at home, you saw a weird meme, you have any questions, basically anything animal related, more than likely I've run across it in some way, shape, or form, either through my zoo contacts or my uh, domestic behavior contacts. Um, I've got, oh man, I can't total it up the other day. Somebody asked me how long I've been training, and I started training animals back in, when was it? It was 92, back in 1992. So actually, yeah, so next year will be 30 years of dog training. That blows my mind, um, that I've been doing that this long, um, with a stint working in the zoo field, but uh, still training on the side there as well. So if anybody, okay, got a good question. Got let's see here. Suggestions for keeping a 1-year-old dog from digging up the yard, garden, and eating pots. Okay, this honestly, the easiest thing for you is going to be what we call management, which is management isn't training, and half of my advice will be management for people, and half will be training scenarios, and or some combination thereof. But basically, uh, you want to fence in any area that you don't want the dog to get. The thing with manure is it is basically uh, well, manure and soil has basically animal feces in it for nutrients and things like that, which is super exciting to dogs. So that causes those problems. Now, another thing we can do to for the yard digging, um, a simple management technique that I do is if they keep digging in the same spot, I'll actually collect their feces from the yard and I'll put it in that hole. They just tend to not want it to dig there. They don't really like digging through their own. Well, there's always some weird dog or some weird, just like people, there's always some exception to the rule. Generally, they don't want to, excuse me, generally they don't want to dig through their own feces. There's been an exception here or there, but that's way outside the rules of the scenario. Now, the other thing I've done is sometimes we've built a sand pit for the dog where it's allowed to dig, and then we actually reward it. It gets treats if it digs in that spot. And then usually after we can stop doing the treats because it just loves digging. But for some odd reason, it's like, I just like digging here for some odd reason because we've programmed its mind to like it because treats usually would end up there. So you can, if they're digging throughout the whole yard, you can basically make a specified area where you're like, okay, you have this digging drive. We're going to accept that, but we're going to make you dig here. And then it becomes much easier because all you got to do is refill that one spot over and over again instead of redoing all the different holes and everywhere else. So all the holes that they're picking, I would fill with their feces. And then on top of that, I would actually, yeah. And then I would treat them for digging in the spot that we want. So treat it like my 8-year-old. Exactly. Honestly, I've done child teaching and I've done animal behavior, and believe the behavior stuff goes across species. It's all operant conditioning, whether it's a human or an animal. There's some tweaks to it, obviously, when we switch to people, but it's all the basic idea of this positive reinforcement scenario. It all comes down to timing and getting it right, which if you can get those things right with animals, you can also get it right with a child, and it uh, and it works either way. Okay, now which one's the odd duck, the dog or the child? But yeah, if you yeah, if you honestly treat them more like a toddler and think of it like those lines with a few differences because they have different drives than a toddler does, a little bit, but just the way you think about things like, oh, I got to get them the reward. both both are the odd ducks. Excellent. That's fantastic. Um, so yeah, so just make sure you're getting the rewarding, and it all comes down to timing. Now, usually when I'm working with a client, that's what I'm working with. I actually try to make my clients amateur animal trainers, so that way when I leave, they can spot those moments where it's like, now is a prime opportunity to learn. I tend to follow animal behavior analysis kind of mentality, style, and teachings, and one of the things we do, I don't say I'm training, I don't say it's a dog that I'm working with. I say it's my learner, because really the animals are learning just like people are. I shouldn't say just like, but pretty close. It's a very similar context. Usually the problem that lies is people just fail to have that communication. So I come in and I fix the communication. I see where that breakdown is, and I guide the owners and the dog to that mutual understanding. And then usually most of the problems alleviate pretty quickly after that. Sometimes we might discover there's other issues, and we will work on those as needed. Because I don't just do basic obedience, I also work with anxiety cases and aggression cases as well, which is more like dog therapy, but it's still operant conditioning. It's still training. It's still just working them through those moments with them. So if anybody else has any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. I'll be happy to answer those for you, whether it's about pet training, whether it's about any animal really at all. If you have a question about a meme you saw about an animal, is this true? I'd be happy to answer those as well. I have been working with animals my entire life. We'll try some of those ideas. No problem. Excellent. Sounds good. If you need any help, just get a hold of me. You can get me at bbbehaviors.com. Phone number is 805-9429, and Whit Buckman at bbbehaviors.com as well for the email. Now, if anybody hasn't had a chance to help the Finney County Humane Society, I'd like to point out they are still collecting money for Jordan's Ways fundraiser. You can also reach them at adoptgcks.com, and I am once again going to be sharing the link to that fundraiser here in the chat. If you want, you can just click on that, and we will be happy, or they'd be happy to take your donation. They have they've reached 15,000 last night, but the goal was actually 20,000. So if we can get them just a little bit higher, they have a few more days left to collect that money. Spread that link out to your friends. Let everybody know to help out the shelter there. And if anybody has any questions regarding pets, animals, whatever, go ahead, drop it into the chat there, and I'd be happy to answer those. Uh-oh. And we will be on till 9 o'clock. Looks like we're about halfway through this evening. I was mentioning earlier that with the weather being what it is, it's been kind of fun doing some training, because usually animals get a little off, a little wonky with these drearier, wetter days. Most of them usually get more hyper is the problem. Either it's because they're cooped in more often. The other issue would be that it's just cooler and feels nice to them, so they tend to just perk up. I had one client that tends to go my direction, which is I get tired on these cloudy days. I see those gloomy days, and I'm like, I didn't want to go to bed, and that dog did too. But we were able to get through the behaviors, and in about a matter of 3 sessions, we got the jumping behavior going in the correct direction. We also got a behavior where he would pause at a location instead of charging the door, which I always feel is important for the larger dogs. And he was a very large and black German Shepherd. And for some odd reason, a lot of people have phobias of those darker dogs and bigger dogs. So it's always good to keep them under control, just because of people's biases and phobias and things of that nature. If you have any questions, go ahead, put those in the chat. Or even if you just want to say hi, go ahead, drop it into the chat. Looks like we have at least one person watching right now. I will be on for another 30 minutes answering any questions people will have on behavior training, the methodology I utilize. A lot of people around here haven't heard of, but basically we use these handy dandy little clicker things. And with the clickers, basically these just mark when the animal does something right. And usually if you click, once they do it, then that just means they get in a reward. And usually my dogs can hear the click from anywhere in the house. So since I just did that, I will probably have visitors here shortly. Maybe. I thought I heard motion. Nope, maybe not. They didn't hear it. which is good. That saves me on treat funds. But basically, we use a positive reinforcement base uh, for the animals to teach them what they need to know and how to guide them towards the correct behaviors. Oh, they were outside. That's why. Got it. That makes a lot more sense. If anybody has any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. I'd be happy to answer them. You can also reach me at bbbehaviors.com. You can also give us a call at 620-805-9429. You can also email me at whitbuckman, with Buckman with this H, at bbbehaviors.com. And as I said before, we are still collecting money for the Finney County Humane Society. I dropped the link to the fundraiser in the chat. If you're having troubles finding it, just let me know and I'll be happy to guide you towards where you can go to donate some more funds. Their goal is $20,000, where it looks like they're around 16,000. We just have 4,000 more to go. Just a few more days left. If you can keep promoting that, even just share the link that to their donation to other friends, especially if you've already donated or helped them out in some way, just so we can get them to that 20,000 goal. It says about 11,000 I look right now on their Facebook page, but the overall goal is it says about 11,000 on their Facebook page. I know when I was there last night getting dunked with some ice water, which maybe if I can find that, I might go and show a little glimpse of that. Oh, there it is. Yeah, so okay, there it is. So yeah, we we did donate some money, and I asked the what I call the hi, what's up, Gray Wind? Would you like a treat? All right, come here. There you go. Hi, buddy. They're kind of wonked out. As I said earlier, I'm redoing the office in here, so it's kind of a mess and disaster. My lighting's all messed up on me today, but that's okay. We got it functioning in time for the AMA tonight. But as I said, it was a fun time last night helping them out. I didn't plan on staying the whole time, but I ended up doing it, and we got the BBB pack to help donate money to the Finney County Humane Society, and we were even able to get enough that I promised that I would get dumped with ice water if we had enough of the BBB pack, which is the term I like to use for all of my clients and friends and family with Buckman Best Behaviors, the BB Behavior Pack. But we were able to get enough, and here we go.
All right, there we go.
That was some fun times, but if anybody could help us get to that 20,000 mark, that'd be great. Now, if you just joined us, we are also doing I am answering questions for everybody. If they have any questions on animal behavior, if they have any questions on training, whether it's domestic animals, wild animals, how something works, or maybe you ran into something weird, you want to double check it. Been working with animals for a long time, since before I even made it into high school. I've been working with animals. Then I started doing it professionally, got my degree at Iowa State University, and have been working with them ever since, both exotic and wild and domestics, such as the dogs and cats and parrots and things living in our homes with us, our furry and feathery and even reptilian families. There's actually I actually know a number of trainers that work primarily with what we call herps, which are amphibians and reptiles. And believe it or not, using operant conditioning, you can teach a snake to do behaviors that you want them to do. So if you have any questions whatsoever, or if you just want to say hi, go ahead, drop those into the comments there, just and I'll be happy to answer any questions you'll have. seeing if there's, so every once in a while somebody will send me a private message. I'll just double check that to make sure that I'm not missing. Oh, no wonder. I'm looking at my site as myself. I need to look at it from the business side to make sure that I'm not missing out on any questions that might have gone the wrong direction or a different direction than the standard. All right. If anybody has any questions, go ahead, drop those in the chat. I'll be happy to answer them. I am on until 9 o'clock this evening. And yeah, so let's drop those questions in and I'd be happy to answer them. Now, the trick to a lot of this is the timing, and I do work a lot with my clients on the timing. I let them know when they did the exact right thing versus not. So if you are having difficulties, trust me, it does work. We just might need to work on tweaking the timing. And if you can either work with me and I'd be happy to guide you through that, or I can guide you to some possible online resources that can help you get a little bit closer to that timing. They say in the trainer world, they say the difference in time between a good trainer and a great trainer is about 0.1 milliseconds. But I always tell my clients, you don't have to be that fast. You're not trying to get dolphins to go at the right time for the right moment. You're just trying to get your dog to sit. You don't have to be quite that close, but timing still is very important. So I try to guide them as much closer to that correct time. All right. If anybody else has any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. I'd be happy to answer them. I'm also pointing everybody towards the Finney County Humane Society's Jordan's Way fundraiser. It'd be great if people can keep donating. Their goal is 20,000. It says 11,000 on the Facebook side of things, but I know for a fact that they had over 5,000 walk-ins, but that still means they need a little around 4,000 left. So if people could keep donating, I believe there's a few more days left on that fundraising event, and make this a goal, make their goal achievable and memorable, and blow their previous records out of the water. So if anybody could do that, head over that way for the Finney County Humane Society. You can also go to their Venmo, which you can find on adoptgck.com, and donate. As I said earlier, I did participate in this event, and at the end of the night, I ended up getting dunked with water because enough of the BBB pack, the Buckman Best Behaviors pack, did make it to our goal. So that was a plus indeed. So in celebration, I said I would get doused with that bucket of ice water. I believe there was even a few pies to the face yesterday.
All right, there we go.
So if anybody would like to ask any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. If you'd like to go help the Finney County Humane Society, I've dropped the link to the fundraiser into the chat as well. Go ahead, go there, and please, please, please donate. And if you have any questions on how to help your pets, I'd be happy to answer those as well. So go right ahead. I'm just checking in there we go. All right. If anybody has any questions about animals or pets or behavior, or if they have any questions about my experience with animals, or how I got to know any of the things that I have, go right ahead, put those in the chat. If you just want to say hi, how are things going on this nice moist day in Southwest Kansas? It's a nice drizzly day down here in Garden City. I do travel up to 150-mile radius of Garden City if anybody wants to. I also do online consultations, very similar to this. I'll get my lighting back in order here in the next day or so as the new desk and new equipment come in for the office. So if anybody has any questions, go ahead and let me know. Drop those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. We'll be on for about another 20 minutes. Might regret this, but I'll also take any animal trivia facts or anything like that. My brain tends to be full of all sorts of weird little knick-knack information regarding regarding animals, wildlife, and ecology. All right. Seems to be a pretty quiet night. This nice cloudy overcast day is keeping everybody in a little bit, maybe a little early naps, little early bedtimes out there. If anybody has any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. Oh, excuse me. Got about, oh no, we got about 20 minutes left. Yeah. If you want, you can also share the link with your friends and bring them in here. More the merrier. So this week, trying to think. Today, right now, I've actually had fairly standard clients lately. Not a whole lot on the aggression side. I have one that doesn't like people coming into the home, but nothing compared to some of the aggression clients that I've worked with in the past. Excuse me. Nothing compared to some of the aggression clients that I've worked with in the past. I do work with anxiety pets, anxiety cases as well, with regards to pets and all of that. So if anybody has any questions whatsoever, I'd be happy to answer them. If you need to get a hold of me, you can reach me at bbbehaviors.com. You can also call me at 8620-805-9429. And you can email me at whitbuckman@bbbehaviors.com. If you need any extra help, I'd be happy to assist with anything. Any of those methods will get a hold of me. You can even set up a schedule via the website for a time that works best for you, or you can get in touch with me via phone or text message or even Facebook chat, and we can set something up, see what will work best for you. I see we do have somebody watching. If you have any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about pet behavior, animal behavior in general, pet training, any of those questions, I'd be happy to answer. Now, also, I am promoting the Finney County Humane Society's fundraiser, the Jordan's Way fundraiser. He's been traveling about all 50 states to promote donations for humane societies across the country. The shelters and getting them. It's something he's doing. The gentleman is doing for, in memory of his dog that he had adopted. You can also go to adoptgck.com. They have a Venmo there. I have dropped the link to their donation into the chat. So if anybody would like to do that, go right ahead. It's a very slow night tonight. Every so often we hit one of these. I blame the weather. It's kind of a dreary day. Everyone's probably snuggled up under their blankets watching movies. But if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put those into the chat, and I'll be happy to answer them. I did get to work with a lot. Actually, I've been working with, I think right now it seems to be puppy phase. That's what I'm working a lot with right now. A lot of very cute puppies. Although with puppies comes the normal issues that people have, such as them biting and just being high energy and a lot of energy, a lot of time, lots of pottying, a lot of pottying issues with the puppies. Of course, that's pretty normal. But yeah, if anybody has any questions, go right ahead and put those in the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. Once again, you can reach us via our website at bbbehaviors.com. Looks like we got a couple more people. If you have any questions, go right ahead and put those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them, whether it's pet behavior, pet problems, behaviors, ways that I would go about fixing certain things. I'd be happy to go over them with you. My methodologies, I focus on positive reinforcement for my training to help guide the animal to what we need. I don't just focus on dogs. I also work with birds and cats. Before working with domestics, I actually worked in the zoo field for a little over 13 years. I've been working with animals for a long time. A little earlier in the evening, I was talking about how a client had asked me when I started training dogs. I actually had to think about it because I started when I was 12 years old, and so next year would make it next year would make it about 30 years of dog training for me. Oh, we got an old lady now behind me. Where'd she go? Oh, there she is. She's plopping down on the bed, kind of showing up in the little picture. Office is a little bit of a mess right now. We got new desks and things coming in, so we're gonna clean all that up, and then maybe we'll show the dog cam while during one of these shows again. If anybody has any questions, go ahead, put those into the chat. I'd be happy to answer them, no matter what it has to do with. If it has to do with wildlife, or if it has to do with your pets at home, go ahead and put it in there. Test me. Also, if you haven't heard, the Finney County Humane Society is doing their fundraiser still for Jordan's Way. So go ahead, head over there to adoptgck.com. You can donate via the Venmo there. Another thing you can also do is in the chat here, I've dropped it a number of times, but you can also follow the links that I just dropped in there. Those links, those Facebook links, are to the donation page for the fundraising event that the Finney County Humane Society is still holding for another few days. All right, it is 8:48. It's been a little while since we've had a question. I kind of expected tonight to be a little bit on the quieter side. It's right after spring break, so people are trying to get back into a regular swing of things around here. Also, possibly a little tired after that, and also it's just dreary and gloomy. So I'm picturing everybody under blankets and maybe watching a something on Disney Plus or Netflix, which I totally get completely. But if you do have any questions, go ahead, drop those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer those as well. So, all right. I really need to work on some more videos. I'm going to try to get back into the swing of things of putting out at least one video a month discussing some training. The next one I am going to put together actually will have to do with a deaf dog that I was working with a few months back, and we took some videos of their training because since they were deaf, we did have to alter the methodologies, which is one of the advantages of working in the zoo field, jumping from species to species, jumping with just the variety of things to train and how to train them. It really helps your mind. The more species you work with, the easier and better you get about thinking outside the box and adapting what you need to do to the animals at hand. If you have any questions whatsoever, go ahead, put those into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer them. Once again, my name is Whitney Buckman, for those that don't know me. I am a pet trainer and a pet behaviorist, but I've also worked with wildlife. I've worked with exotics. I've worked in the zoo field for a number of years, worked in the wildlife rehab field for a number of years. Really, if it's had to do with animals, I've probably at least a little bit touched somehow into that avenue. So if you have any questions, go ahead, put it into the chat. If nobody comes on, I might end this about 5 minutes early, but I'd like to stay on till my full time at 9 o'clock. See how we go. Um, and if you missed today and you want to ask questions, feel free to get a hold of me. You can get a hold of me via my website, or you can give me a phone call, which also receives texts. And also, you can get a hold of me via email as well. Any of these methods, you can get a hold of me. And also, every fourth Wednesday of the month, I will be doing one of these Ask Me Anything events. If you do have, so like we have a couple people popping in. If you have any questions whatsoever on animal behavior or pet training or any problems you're having, go ahead, put those right into the chat, and I'd be happy to answer those questions for you. Also, during this week we are promoting the Finney County Humane Society's Jordan's Way fundraiser. So if you haven't had a chance to check that out, go ahead, follow the link that I've dropped into the chat a few times. You can also go to adoptgck.com. But if you have any questions on pet training or pet behavior, go ahead, put those in there, and I'd be happy to discuss those. See what else. Yes, yeah, last night was a bit crazy with the Jordan's Way thing. We had lots of pies in the face, and lots of let's see if there's any good Jordan's Way moments. Then there was lots of ice being thrown at people. Lots of fun moments with that as well. Oh, here's one of some people in our community might know this person. This is Michaela. She was taking pies to the face for some donations. If anybody, so go right ahead and go to those links and continue donating to our local Humane Society. It was a very fun time last night.
Round eight.
There we go.
Don't be late on my pies again. Let's get a pie. Let's get a pie.
Pie's pretty serious around here.
Oh, that wasn't good. That wasn't good.
At the end of the evening, I added in with some ice. I got pied in the face actually early on, but I did not think to record that, or did I purposely not record that?
There you go.
There we go.
90 seconds, round number 9. All right, 2 more. This is it. Round 9. Let's do this. Oh, that tickles. All right, round number 9. Let's go. Everybody watching. I'm undefeated. Remember, if we go undefeated, she takes an ice bucket. Again? She's a good sport, she said. She told me.
Yeah. So, if anybody has any questions whatsoever, go ahead and we will go ahead and put those any questions into the chat, and I will be happy to answer them for you. Looks like we're getting towards the end. Haven't had a question for a few minutes, so I might end it just about 5 minutes early. But I'd like to go till full 9 o'clock. If anybody has any questions whatsoever on animal behavior or just want to say hi, go right ahead. I'd be happy to answer your questions. Once again, my name is Whitney. I'm with the Buckman Best Behaviors, and I'm a pet trainer and pet behaviorist. You can find us at bbbehaviors.com. If you do need some help, feel free to reach out and contact me. Be happy to help you out with any behaviors you're having, whether it's just basic obedience, whether you're having aggression issues or anxiety issues. I'd be happy to answer or to help with any of these situations. Just get a hold of me and we'll see what we can do to help improve the communication that you and your family members are having. And I think I might call it just about a few minutes early. Yeah, we'll wait till we'll see if we can get to 9. Maybe we'll get some last minute questions from people. The past few days have been very dreary. Takes a lot of energy out of people. Animals, honestly, half the time I see their energies go up, and half the time, I'd say 3/4 of the time it goes up, 1/4 time it goes down during these drearier days. So, if anybody has any questions, go ahead and put those in the chat. Otherwise, I think we'll be calling it here. I'm going to actually wait till this timer in the top left corner of my screen goes to the full 60 minutes. See if anybody has any last questions for me or any last hellos. But once again, I'd like to point everybody over to the Finney County Humane Society, Jordan's Way. You can also do it at adoptgck.com. They have a Venmo there that you can help donate. They are at around 16,000. Their goal, though, is 20,000. So if you can help them out in any way, that'd go a long way to helping our local animals here in Garden City, Kansas. Also, the animals around the area as well. I do train pets and do behavior issues as well with pets, and I travel up to 150 miles. Let me know if you would like to get a hold of me. If you can reach me at bbbehaviors.com, 620-805-9429, and also at whitbuckman at bbbehaviors.com. If not, if you want to wait, I'll be on every fourth Wednesday, and I will see you then. And thank you for everybody who joined us today. And if you missed out, not a problem. I'm here every fourth Friday at every fourth Wednesday from 8 o'clock till 9 o'clock.